Pig, and you're listening. You're tuned into Chris Pope of the Tech Jives Network, folks.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Guys from Andromeda podcast. I would be your host, Chris Pope, and today would be November 1st, 2012, and it's very exciting to be back. It's been an awesome past week. Myself, Mark, and Scott got to go to the Geek Media Expo 2012. It was a lot of fun. We had a blast. Got to be in a Professor Shy Guy video. If you haven't seen it, go out there and watch us look like a bunch of fools. We also got to hang out with Mr. PCJ, Patrick, the Internet, as I like to call him, as well, and meet up with a lot of other cool people. Our senior developer Tyler was there, and quite a few others. So we had a blast. Hung out with a couple of our voice actors on the game, Ellen McLean and Rob Paulson. And we got quite a few pictures to show. And the most exciting thing, I think, to you guys, is I got a lot of video footage of Mark and Scott in their game design essence, putting finishing touches on some things, coming up with a couple other story arcs that hadn't already been in the design. Really exciting stuff. I think you guys are going to love it. I can't wait to publish that out there for everybody to see. But we are here for a special reason, and it's on the screen right now. It's PQ1 and PQ2, not Police Quest 1 and 2, folks, but Pledge Quest 1 and 2. So the people I'm about to introduce to you did something amazing, and I got to say, we have a lot of amazing Space Quest fans out there now, Space Venture fans out there, but these two people put their money where the mouth is and actually created a couple of fan-made games, one of which came out during the Kickstarter itself that we did, called Pledge Quest 1, which was fun. And then recently they came out with Pledge Quest 2. And of course I love the names of it. Pledge Quest 1, The Space Venture Adventure, and Pledge Quest 2, my favorite, Noodle Shop of Horrors. So I am joined right now with, well, actually both of these people have the same name, but it's easier to call one of them Jess and the other one Ackrel. So I'd like to welcome Jess and Ackrel. All right, we'll start with Jess. Jess, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Chris. Good to have a chance to talk with you.
Fantastic, man. Yeah, really excited. I love the games, and I'm excited to talk to you guys about it as well. Ackrel, how are you doing tonight?
I'm fine, thank you.
Excellent. Well, now we got all that stuff out of the way. Let's get down to dirty work here, to bitness, as we like to say, in Chris Pope land, apparently. So first off, tell me, the two of you, where did the two of you live? You don't have to give me like addresses and stuff. We don't need stalkers because, they're out there.
I'm on the East Coast in West Virginia.
Okay. Awesome.
And I'm on the West Coast, California.
Ah, okay. All right. East Coast and West Coast. Cool. Very cool. Well, it's good to have you guys on here with me. So let's talk a little bit about how you guys met online. I guess. Where did you guys meet each other in the forums or what?
We did ages ago. Gosh, I guess it's probably been maybe as much as 12 years ago now. We met through. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, about. I got into the Space Quest fandom about year 2000.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I suppose that we first bumped into each other on the message forums at my website, the Virtual Broom Closet, and went back and forth, talking about any number of Space Quest topics ad infinitum for years at this point.
Very nice. Yeah, very cool. I gotta say, man, honestly, probably 10 to 12 years ago, I think I did discover Virtual Broom Closet, and I was always in awe at how awesome that website always looked,
Oh,
Nice,
thanks a lot. Thanks
nice
a lot.
job, man. Really, I mean, you were like way ahead of a lot of the other sites out there. And I'm not just talking about Space Quest fan sites. I mean, just how you had everything laid out. I really loved it. So,
Oh, thanks a
yeah,
lot. I had a lot of help along the way. Lots of other members of the community really contributed. But no, it's been a fun site and really rewarding to work on.
cool. Yeah, no, I actually remember like probably 12, 13 years ago, maybe even more, thinking I'm going to create I got all excited. I'm going to create a Space Quest fan website. And then I saw your website, and all my excitement was shattered. Thanks for that, by
That's
the
what
way.
it was about. When I started the website, it was about crushing dreams, and I'm glad to hear it worked out.
So, you made it so awesome, so colossal that there was no point in anybody else trying. Actually, I love SpaceQuest.net also. After I
Yeah.
saw the two of those, I was just like, well, they pretty much have covered all the bases that need to be covered here.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, Franz did amazing work
yeah,
with SpaceQuest.net, and now we're in the very slow process of finally merging them together and turning it into one giant Frankenstein
yeah.
of a SpaceQuest site. So,
Yeah, no, that's a lot of work, man. You guys did a great job. That really worked out because we when we were putting together the guys from Andromeda website and the forums and stuff, we I actually did build our own forums and stuff, and then I started looking around and started thinking about how I'm sitting here reinventing the wheel when there's already a very well established fan base and everything that all hang out in the two websites. And then when I heard you guys were merging, because it was kind of a difficult to try to try to pick somebody here. We'll go with you guys, our official forum or whatever. But then when you guys merged, it was kind of a no-brainer. Let's see about using SpaceQuest.net as the official forum. So that worked out really well, and you guys made the transition, pretty smooth. It probably not on your end, I don't know, but it from everybody else's perspective, it seemed like it went well. So,
well, you know the power of having PCJ on your team.
you mean the
And
internet?
yes, and we capitalized on that as well. So, we have to give him some real credit.
Right. Yeah, I think everybody capitalizes on PCJ. Poor guy. Good thing he's not real. We no. I did meet him in person, and it was a lot of fun. But like, I never did get to sit down and ask him, if he was, to prove if he was a replicant or not. So, the jury's still out on that. All right. Let me quit gushing over your website here, and let's talk about Pledge Quest. So, you guys, you two got together and decided to do this. How did that idea come about?
I could start out there and then let Ackrell, sort of fill in some of the blanks along the way. When I first was kind of kicking around ideas of what I could do on my end to maybe help out with the Kickstarter, the idea of some sort of fan game sprung to mind. One of the big inspirations, I don't know if you recall this story that was bouncing around the internet back during the Double Fine Adventure Kickstarter, or maybe slightly afterwards, of a fan who created an old LucasArts style adventure game, basically as a job application for Double Fine Adventures. And I took that idea and I thought, wow, maybe doing something like that would be a way to get some additional attention to the Space Venture Kickstarter. And that was sort of the thinking behind it. So I threw this proposal out on the SpaceQuest.net forums. I am completely technologically inept on almost every front. I had an idea, but really no clue what it would take to make a game. So I said, hey, I have this idea for a fan game. No clue how to implement it. Can somebody who is more talented than me out there actually help me make this happen? And that's when Ackrell really stepped up.
Yeah, there were a lot of people throwing in their own little ideas and some really nice backgrounds, nice concepts, and there was a lot of stuff going on. And by this point, the whole script had been written out, but no one was actually stepping up to actually do the putting together of the actual game. And finally, after after it was maybe less than a week until the Kickstarter deadline came along, I thought to heck with everything. I created a couple of games in AGS, that's Adventure Game Studio, so I just decided to go on ahead and put this game together myself. So that was just 3 days of nearly nonstop grueling work on this game, getting the animations in there, getting the coding done, and on and on and on, and managed to get it done about maybe about 4 days before the deadline was due, and so that was quite an experience, I'll say.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, very cool. And did you guys? So it was just the two of you guys that worked on Pledge Quest?
I mean, we had a lot of help from others, a lot of musically inspired. He of the Janitorial Times, he provided the end theme for the game, which is already being used for the podcast. And
right.
We had a lot of other help from other contributors as well.
Mm-hmm. And as far as music goes, did he do the music for both games, or just the ending?
No. Actually, most of the music in both of the games is actually from Space Quest 6. It just wasn't used in the actual game.
Right.
I just went into the resource files and pulled out some of these nice unused tracks and gave them a little life of their own.
Cool. Well, that's good. Yeah, that's interesting. An interesting bit of news there.
But if any Activision lawyers are out there listening to this right now, just ignore that last part.
Yeah,
we totally didn't use.
I said nothing.
That's right. Yes. We have dealt with them before. Let's see.
Lovely people.
Yeah. Actually, the Activision guys have been pretty. They've been a lot better to us than you would expect. You know, I mean, they didn't just give us the Space Quest license, of course, but you know, they definitely could have been a lot worse than they did. That's all I'll say. You know, they let us get away with a lot more than we expected. You know, they agreed to let us do, you know, like letting us use the guys from Andromeda name and all that stuff, as well as the mohawks and the nose, and you know, a lot of that is built into their game, and they could get a case against us and all that, but we did get them to agree to terms. And so, you know, the good news is the guy that was in charge is actually a Space Quest fan. It's just, you know, they just can't give us the license to the thing. It don't work that easy. It might someday. You just never know. But
well, in all fairness to Activision, Sierra actually threatened to sue me back in about 1996 for having walkthroughs for the Space Quest website, or for the Space Quest series on my website.
Wow.
They said that those puzzles were their intellectual property, and I didn't have a right to post solutions to them. And
oh, dang, man.
yeah, I sent a nice little cease and desist, which I ignored, and luckily they never actually came after me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, well. That's something to talk about. Jeez, man. Not many people can say they've got a cease and desist from Sierra. You should post it online for everybody to see.
I wish I still had it. You know, I don't know what happened to it. Maybe I could get Scott and Mark to autograph it. Be a real memento.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you need to find it. That'd be awesome. Not many people can say they've got a cease and desist signed by Mark and Scott. So, awesome, man. Well, let's talk a little bit about Pledge Quest 1 and for people that have not played it, can you tell everybody a little bit about it? What's the point? What's the game plan? What are you trying to accomplish? You know, all of that.
Yeah, I can start out there. Yeah, both the Pledge Quest games star our heroine, Bee, not to be confused with Beatrice Wankmaster from the Space Quest series. Complete coincidence that she shares the same first name.
Right.
Bee is a diehard Space Quest fan. You know, ready to support the space venture. She wakes up in Pledge Quest 1, the morning of the deadline, the final day of the Kickstarter, and she has to make her pledge. And in order to do so, she finds herself facing a series of inventory-based puzzles that stand in her way. She has to figure out how to repair a broken computer, track down her password, find her credit card, take all the steps necessary to go visit tgakick.com and make that pledge. The idea being if we can use the URL TGA Kick as many times as humanly possible in a one-room adventure game, that became our goal.
Right. No, great job. Excellent. Yeah, and so she ends up successfully accomplishing that for you guys that play through the game. And eventually we make our way into Pledge Quest 2. But before we do that, how long did it take you guys to make Pledge Quest 1 again? I think, Akril, you mentioned 3 grueling days, or did it?
Indeed, yes. Indeed.
Yeah. So you guys really pushed hard to knock that sucker out in 3 days. So that must have been quite a task. And you said you used AGS, Adventure Gaming Studios, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And I didn't say this already, you guys, and it's also on my screen, but pledgequest.net. So you guys who are out there listening or who are listening to this after the fact, that's where you can go to download it. And right now, of course, it's available for PC, Mac, and Linux. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. So check that out. Well, let's talk about Pledge Quest 2. Let me go back here. Pledge Quest 2. So how long did it take you guys to make Pledge Quest 2?
Slightly longer.
More than 3 days.
3 months, I think it was this time.
Wow.
3
A
months.
little closer to 3 months.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. So you guys, how long did it take you to come up with a story for it?
The story came fairly early. If I recall, and Akril, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, I think within a day or so after releasing Pledge Quest 1, I was in the shower where all my best ideas, of course, hit, and came up with this kind of crazy, at the risk of spoiling it a tiny bit, time travel-y storyline that we see in Pledge Quest 2, and I shot off an email to Akril, probably I would say a day or two just after the first one was over. I said, I have no idea if you want to slave away on another one of these things, but if you do, here's something that just occurred to me the other day for a plot idea. Does that timing sound right to you, Akril?
I think it might have been maybe a week or two after the deadline, but yeah, pretty much not long after.
Right. And then who does the artwork between the two of you guys?
I do.
You do. You
All
do
of
the
it.
artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, nice work, man. Very, very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, and taking a look at, you got some of the concept art on the site. I do love how you guys did that. You actually not just put the game out there, but you actually placed some of the artwork out there, the concept art for people to see. That was a great idea. Gives everybody a chance to look at it.
Yeah, that was my idea. I've sort of done the same thing for some of my past AGS games, and so I figured I might as well continue the tradition with Pledge Quest.
Right. Yeah, very cool. Oh, and yes, if you guys playing Pledge Quest 2, just so you know, there will be some spoilers ahead. So, you'll have to stop listening at this moment if you don't want spoilers. But yeah, so you guys, you came up with a great idea. Pledge Quest 2, essentially, the bee's cat, which is named Vohal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Has pretty much changed time by creating a time machine, going back in time to the Sierra Online business, and actually changing the two guys from Andromeda to where they, not changing them, but actually what game they worked on. And you actually have to go back in time and fix that, which I absolutely loved. And I said this on Twitter or Facebook, one of the two. It gave me chills when I got to do that. I loved that. That was fantastic. So, definitely. So you guys created 3D models and stuff like that as well, I noticed. What are the 3D models for?
Well, it's kind of a little shortcut I use for the time machine itself, so I didn't have to draw the whole thing from scratch twice. Mm-hmm. I just created this little mishmash of various 3D models and then rendered it from 2 different angles, so I didn't have to draw the whole thing over again.
Right. So you kind of used it, yeah. So it was almost like a storyboard that you sort of, used to pull together the real artwork, I'm guessing.
Guess you could say that.
And then you got your Ken Williams. Here's the picture of Ken Williams, the cat here, as a cat, or I guess Vohall dressed up to look like Ken Williams. The mustache was brilliant as well. I mean, it's very clear who he's trying to look like there. Why in the world Mark and Scott would think that's Ken Williams, but I think that's fantastic.
I thought a little bit about that, and actually, it was one of the first things when I pitched this idea to Ackrell. I recall you responding back, so they're just going to believe that this cat with the mustache is Ken Williams. And then I briefly thought to myself, well, what if Scott and Mark get word of this game and they think that, I think so little of them that they could be easily fooled by a cat. But then I looked back at Space Quest 3 and I saw what a good sense of humor they'd had about portraying themselves in the past. And I figured they could probably, if anyone could, they could take a joke.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's great, though. Great. And of course, I love that you guys had so many, like the Sierra picture frame, pictures on the walls and stuff. Because, again, I've said this before, when I got to, I like to say I actually got to visit, that one time back in like 1996 or whatever. I think it was 96. And that was one thing I do remember very clearly, is they had all these awesome King's Quest and Space Quest and Quest for Glory and all these pictures that I would have killed somebody to take if I could have, if I had the guts back in those days. Of course, I'd probably be in jail.
The Oakhurst building on my honeymoon, actually. Lucky,
awesome.
and my wife felt really lucky to be part of that. But it was long after Sierra had moved out. I think it was mostly medical offices at the time, so not quite as exciting.
So it was after the fact, yeah. Well, I still get upset because when I visited, I didn't get to actually go upstairs where the developers were, like Scott, but they took me around in the downstairs area and I got to see all the shipping and all the games. They gave me a couple free games and a shirt and things like that, but I was on Holy Land, as far as a fan would say, at that time. It's still a blur in my mind, but very, very awesome. So, yeah, man. So you guys, you said it took about 3 months to complete. And what kind of response? Have you gotten a lot of positive feedback from it?
Yeah, so far, we've heard really great stuff, and thanks to everyone out there who's downloaded it. Thanks to everyone who's posted nice things on forums and social media and everything. Mm-hmm. But my impression is that people had a good time with it, and that was in addition to, of course, raising awareness about Space Venture and getting the word out there as our main purpose. Giving people just a few puzzles and a few jokes to have fun with was one of my real goals for the game. And then, I submit the design and sort of a rough sketch. And when Ackrell started sending me back some of I saw a lot of this concept art while we were in the process of making this. And the first time I saw that scene of Bee and her boyfriend Roger sitting there in the noodle shop, the rough sketch where they were still sort of pink outlines of the characters and everything like that.
Right. It
blew my mind. I saw that she was really upping her game there's the image now, upping her game from the first go around. I knew that this was going to be better than I'd even envisioned it. It's been really wonderful to see that sort of response from the community.
Yeah. No, you guys did really, the first Pledge Quest was fun, but you guys took it to a whole new level with this one. I mean, absolutely. I had a blast with the first one, but I really, really loved the second one, and like I already said, it gave me chills. So and definitely I never did get any feedback from Scott and actually meant to talk to him about it. I got a meeting with him later tonight, so I'm going to see if he actually played it. But Mark played through the whole thing and loved it. He thought it was fantastic. So
nice.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing. To someone who has been playing Space Quest since I was, 10 years old. the idea that the two guys from Andromeda would ever, Mark or, I don't know if Scott's seen it either, but the idea that they would ever sit down with something I worked on and spend some time playing it, that's unbelievable. I know that on Pledge Quest 1, Josh Mandel actually played that and sent us a really nice note saying that he'd enjoyed that one. Again, mind-blowing, idle, someone who I think, is one of the greatest designers in adventure gaming history. Having him say that we did a pretty good job with a little one-room game, wow, that's hard to pass up.
No, you guys did, man. You did, and
thank you.
And no, I really did. I at the time, I remember when the game came out, I know Scott was sick, and so getting him to do much was tough. But Mark, I remember I emailed him and said, "You got to play this, man. You got to play. Don't play part of it. Play the whole game." And he played the whole game, and we were chatting back and forth on Skype, and he told me, point blank, he said they did a fantastic job on this, and he loved it. So, and again, I'm gonna push Scott tonight. Like I said, I got a meeting with him tonight, so I'm gonna see if he. I meant to ask him while we were in GMX in Nashville about it, because we had this interview coming up, and I had forgotten. But Scott got the link and everything as well. He might have tried it out, but I might not have heard back from him. The two guys, of course, as you can imagine. I've been keeping their nose to the grindstone as much as possible. I'm sort of trying to keep I keep the project going and make sure everybody knows who they're supposed to be talking to and connecting with and all that. And so they're doing lots and lots of stuff, going back and forth with our developer and keeping things straight. So as you can imagine, time is limited, but I do know for a fact Mark played it. He played the whole thing through and loved it. And I think it took him about 30 minutes, because after I told him about it, he played it, and about 30 minutes later, he had replied. So,
wow.
Yeah. It took me
pretty
about
good gameplay
25
value.
minutes to figure it out. So, and I play a lot of adventure games, so that's good, guys. I remember the bad part is I was stuck on the very end, and I'm not gonna spoil it that bad for everybody, but it was the very last thing you have to do that got me, and I was on that part for probably 10 to 12 minutes, and after I figured it out, I was like, man, Chris, you're an idiot. Why did you not think of that? But
I was talking with their mutual friend Trolls, the Space Quest historian, recently, and he was saying that puzzle had really tripped him up as well. That was that he and his friends had kind of gotten stuck there, and it had been a source of frustration. And as I told him, it's good to know that I'm also causing frustration all around the world.
That's always good. Yes. Yeah. Your main goals in life was to ruin everybody's hopes of ever setting up a Space Quest website. Then you're now all these years later to frustrate everybody beyond belief. Great job.
Absolutely.
So,
I feel like I've done it. I can retire now from the Space Quest community a happy and satisfied man. Thank you very much. Good night. No.
That's right. Yes. Oh, that's great. So Ackrel, did it go the way you expected it to? Did the game come out? Did I guess the project end up the way you envisioned it would?
I think it ended up pretty good, all things considered. It took me quite a while to finish it, obviously, and I'm sure there's still a couple of bugs that I still haven't taken care of yet. But yeah, I think it turned out pretty darn good.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, that last puzzle, I tried everything you could ever think of practically, and I didn't find any bugs there. So the last 10 minutes of it or whatever, that last puzzle is pretty foolproof, at least for me. The rest of it, I don't know, but that last bit of it, for sure, I ran through it. It took me so long to figure it out, it felt like. But yeah, no, I mean, fantastic job, and you guys, just from the community itself, everybody for you guys watching the video, while I'm talking, I'm clicking around ants, like I've got ants in my pants. That doesn't make any sense. like I'm nervous, twitching or something. Sorry. I forget sometimes that you guys can see my screen. But yeah, no. So all the feedback we got from fans was positive. Everybody, they loved it. Lots of good feedback on Facebook and Twitter. We got a couple of emails. So you guys did a great job on that. And again, I mean, you really took it to a whole new level of what all the fans out there are great. We get tons of positive feedback from fans, but of the Space Quest and Space Venture series and all of that. But to put the amount of time, effort, energy, into it, you guys really, just blew everybody's mind. We are all very appreciative of what you did to help the project out, and it did. If I wasn't feeling like I was spamming everybody, I would continuously tweet it over and over and over 15 times that day it came out. I know I shot it out there a few times. Hopefully I didn't get on anybody's nerves, but I was very excited about it, and I know the two guys, especially Mark. Because I know he for sure played through it. I know Scott sounded very appreciative, but again, I'll find out what he thought of it. But Mark for sure, great feedback from him, great feedback from the fans. No, just fantastic job all around, really. So let's go back a little bit and real quick. Let's just talk about general, because you got here somehow, and the reason you're here is because you were a huge Space Quest fan. And let's start with you, Jess. Can you tell us a little bit about your first recollection of playing Space Quest and why you love the series? And you can only do it in 5 words. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I've never done anything in my life in 5 words. Let's see here. I actually remember pretty vividly the first time I played Space Quest. It was my 10th birthday in 1987, and my parents, as a birthday gift, got me Space Quest 1. At that point, I had played King's Quest 2 already. It was the only adventure game. It was the first game I got for my new computer. I had no idea Space Quest existed. The guy at the local Radio Shack, I think, or Hurts So Good or whatever, recommended that they purchase it. And I sat down with my best friend JP, and the two of us spent my entire birthday playing through it. And we made our way all the way up to the Spider Droid once we had crashed onto Corona, and we couldn't get past that. Once upon a time, I had an old boombox that I was recording us playing this game on for some reason, because I was a weird nerdy kid, and I would kill to be able to find that tape. It's probably somewhere in the attic at my parents' house nowadays.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, actually, we just played through it, and I fell in love immediately. It was the sort of sharp sense of humor. I loved the graphics. I mean, I was already, even at age 10, a huge Star Trek fan, a huge Star Wars fan, and really seeing all that come together in an adventure game was just massively influential on me. I mean, it went on to shape my own sense of humor. It went on to eventually inspire me to make this website in 1995 when I finally got to college and saw the internet for the first time. I went on and said, this internet thing is great, but it has no Space Quest websites. Yeah. Something has to be done about that.
Yes.
So that became, I sat down with a book of HTML for dummies and learned HTML so I could throw together something. And yeah, I mean, Space Quest has been hugely influential in my life. I've just the humor of it all has just always been a big deal to me. And again, the idea that someday I would be, creating my own little game, or chatting back and forth on Twitter with Mark and Scott. I think if you told the 10-year-old version of me that, he'd probably say, "What's Twitter?" and then when I explained it to him,
right.
He'd probably think that was pretty cool. It might take a little while to get the whole internet thing across to him.
Right.
Is that 5 words or less?
That was definitely a few more words.
Oh, sorry about that.
But you're good, man.
All right.
No, great. All right, Akril, what about you?
Well, my story's a little different, actually. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, when I was I think it was around 7 years old, and the computer that my dad was using was this pretty old, sort of an IBM knockoff, and it was a used computer, and it came with several games on it, which included King's Quest 3, Police Quest 1, Leisure Suit Larry 1, and possibly one other. I don't know what that was, but it pretty much came with every Sierra standard adventure game except Space Quest. Space Quest wasn't on this thing, and I never heard about Space Quest until I think it was around 9 or 10, but I never actually played it until I was around 15,
Hmm.
and and interestingly enough, it became one of my favorite Sierra games, despite not really growing up with it at all. But yeah, that's how I got there.
So so just playing it then, and you just kind of same thing. You love the humor and the gameplay and all the ideas and stuff that Mark and Scott had come up with, and that was it for you as well, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. I never really consider myself a sci-fi fan, but when I look back, I think that I actually listened to a bunch of really old sci-fi radio dramas from the 50s, like X-1 and that kind of thing. And I
Hmm.
first listened to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy radio drama around the same time, so that kind of fed into the Space Quest thing, and that kind of led into other sci-fi related things. So it's just this continuous loop of interests, I guess you could call it.
Right, right. Yeah, it's funny because I always was I was always more into the fantasy stuff. And like so you would imagine King's Quest and all that. Now, King's Quest, of course, does run a close second in my mind. I really did enjoy playing the King's Quest series, but yeah, there was
Hmm.
something about Roger Wilco and his exploits, we'll call them, and the humor and everything that went into the Space Quest series that drove me to be a massive Space Quest fan. So, yeah, no, I definitely can kind of feel where you're going with that. So I think the big question here that is on everybody's minds is Pledge Quest 3, perhaps, maybe? Or are we taking some time off?
I had a feeling that might come up. Ackle, I'll let you tackle that one.
That's kind of still up in the air for now. It's a possibility, but just how much of a possibility it is, we're kind of not quite sure at the moment.
Right, right.
We definitely want to have the right idea, before jumping in on it.
Yeah.
Pledge Quest 2, to some degree, certainly we both worked together on the design, we both worked together on the writing, but sort of the concept behind it was the initial idea was largely mine, and I kind of realize in hindsight now that as much as I would love the idea of a trilogy, I wrote myself into a corner of how do you raise the stakes
Right.
from a time traveling cat destroying, and erasing Space Quest from history altogether.
That's going to be hard to top, man. You really are going to have, I have to say, a hard time topping that.
Yeah, from a storytelling standpoint, I don't know where you go from there. But then again, it's not all that different from, in Space Quest 5, you've just saved the galaxy from, the evil, sludge bandits and everything. And
Right.
you just kick back in Space Quest 6 and suddenly you're a janitor again. I guess there are ways, even after big stakes, to
Yep.
start out small. I know that Ackle had suggested if we really want to do Pledge Quest 3 and can't think of anywhere else to go, her suggestion was, well, we could always just suggest that all of Pledge Quest 2 was some sort of dream/hallucination induced by rancid noodles. So that's
Right.
always the backup plan. It
There
was
you
all a
go.
dream.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There you go. No, oh, great. Yeah. I love it. Great idea. What was that? Cocodine inner space. There you go. You now you got to go in the cat's body. That'll be
Well, my wife is a veterinarian, so I could maybe bring her on as a consultant for that. She
That's right.
could, she could really help out, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Make sure you pay her at least, almost what you guys are making for this. So
Yeah, because, the problem with Space Quest 6 wasn't, anything beyond just, well, the biology behind it was inaccurate. If they had really sharpened that up, it could have been, one of the best-selling adventure games of all time. We'll get that right in Pledge Quest 3 when we go inside of a cat and we have our very own on-staff veterinarian helping us figure out all the specific sorts of puzzles we need there.
Awesome. Great, man. No, you guys, I mean, you guys really did a great job, though, putting all this together, going back and forth with your, obviously you had to use some kind of project management in order to do it, so, or project management could be anarchy. I don't know, one of the two.
You'd be surprised. We mostly just used private messaging on the SpaceQuest.net forums, just sending back private message after private message, cutting and pasting bits of script and art into the messaging. And I think by the end of Pledge Quest 2, we'd probably racked up around 100 or 150 or so messages back and forth. But they're kind of fun to look back at because you can actually see the game develop from, message one all the way to the one at the bottom where we're talking, okay, we're releasing this thing, on Monday, it's coming up. So you can really see how it evolved.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's awesome. Yeah, so SpaceQuest.net, the best project management system for AGS developers. There you go. Hey, it works.
It got the job done.
Yes, sure enough. Well, no, that's fantastic, guys. Well, anything else you would like to plug as we finish up the podcast here?
I can't think of anything.
How about plugging your Twitter and all that stuff?
Well, I actually don't have a Twitter account, so
What?
I can't really plug that.
Okay.
I know.
You need to create one.
I'll plug my Twitter. I'm at DecafJedi, DECAFJEDI. And yeah, again, visit PledgeQuest.net if you haven't yet. Check out the games. Let us know if you liked them. And thanks again to everyone out there in the community who's played them and said kind things about them, and even the ones that didn't say kind things. Thanks for playing them too. We appreciate everyone's business in this land of giving away free games.
Yes.
Yeah.
What he said.
Yeah, all feedback's good feedback, and thank you so much, Chris, for all the kind words you've shared tonight. We really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. My pleasure for sure. You guys definitely deserve props for putting in the time, effort and energy that it took, to put this together. I've done a little AGS development, not to the, extent as you guys, and I know that it can be easy to use in some degree, and it can be a nightmare on other hands. So I know you guys, it took some work to do it. So, and you didn't get paid anything to do it either. I know you guys out there listening probably think we paid these guys thousands and thousands of dollars to put this thing together, but believe it or not, we only paid them about $500. So, okay.
When's that check in here anyway?
Yeah, that check is in the mail.
No, and I do want to, I want to thank Ackrell. You were mentioning the challenges of working with AGS. I am blessed to know absolutely nothing about how hard that is because, my job began and ended, sitting down with WordPad and, writing the script for these things, writing all the click events, and, writing the cutscenes and stuff like that. But then I handed it over to her and she did all the graphics work, all the animation, all the coding, all the music. And, there's no way this game would exist beyond just an idea that I posted on the SpaceQuest.net forums if it wasn't for her stepping in and, really just like a champion coming through in such a great way on all those fronts. So, yeah, she deserves a lot of credit on that end.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great job. Great job for sure. All right, everybody. Well, that will wrap it up for this episode of the Guys from Andromeda podcast. Next week, if I'm not mistaken, I've got a troll on with me. Actually, I've got trolls on. Actually, I'm on with trolls, I think, is how it's working. Apparently, I am being interviewed on my own show, or I should say the Guys from Andromeda podcast. And I guess I'm going to be asked a lot a lot of questions that people have been wondering about myself. So who knows how that's going to go, but you guys check it out. We'll be posting out some information about the podcast in the coming days. Also, I've got Mark Hood coming up in a couple of weeks, so check him out. If you don't know who Mark Hood is, maybe you need to watch the Inside Current Copy or whatever it's called. Check that out, and you'll know who Mark Hood is, and then go out and IMDb him. He played a pretty big role in a lot of the titles at Sierra, so check him out. And I've also got some other Sierra alumni coming on with me. I'm really excited to meet with, but you'll have to wait and see who they are. But more and more. Oh, and of course, finally, Mark and Scott are ready to talk more about to come out with some more news about the game, what we're ready to release on the game. So I know fans have been like, okay, so why don't you give us some news about how Space Venture is coming along? And a lot of it has been hush hush, but pretty much things are all mapped out and coming together, and we'll be coming out with some more information for everybody soon. Just please be patient with us. All right, please be patient with us, and we will definitely have some stuff out there. So, and be sure to go watch our video of us all looking like complete fools, or at least I look like a complete fool. Although the dance scene at the end of the Professor Shy Guy video is really great. Mark especially kills me in his slow motion self. I wish I could have been in the ending sequence of that video, but I actually had to do a panel, so I was gone during that hour. But my two daughters are dancing in the lower right-hand corner of the video, so that was fun. They're the only kids in there, which is kind of awkward, but there you have it. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot, chat room, for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. We appreciate everything. A lot of you guys that do so much for us. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks a lot. Say goodbye, Acral. Say goodbye, Acral. Say goodbye, Jess.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.